leave it, leave it. Now wait for a little bit longer eye contact, leave it, leave it, leave it. Good. Now on the form, there's a dark line after you get past the hand moving. So you got 10 seconds worth of eye contact, and then the next step I'll demonstrate here is with the hand moving. So if the dog is sitting there, you're going to be moving your hand now with the food in it, and he needs to maintain eye contact away from it. So even though the target's moving, he needs to maintain that eye contact. He's having a hard time with this because I didn't go through all the little steps to get there. If you take it through the steps one by one and work it up slowly, the dog will be very successful. And he's going to be learning, and then he's going to be practicing each step correctly. And you want them to practice as many times as you can with them getting it right, because that is building the behavior. He's learning what it is that you want and what's getting the click. So the click is information that he's got it correct, and you want to be clicking your dog. So you don't want to make it too hard too fast, because then he's not getting clicked and he gets frustrated. So he's doing pretty well with this now. Even with the hand moving, he's maintaining several seconds of eye contact. So when you get past that level and you get to the dark line on the form, then you're going to switch to a new room or a new spot within the room to practice all these steps again from the start. And you're going to get to the black line again, and you're going to switch to another location and do the steps again. So you're going to have gone through all of these steps with at least 10 treats each in 3 different locations before you move past that first dark line. And then you're going to start with the food in a shallow dish, the lid of a butter jar or something where they can see the food. And the reason for that is simply so that they're not learning to not follow your hand. Because there's some tricks where we need them to follow the food in your hand, and you notice he's not doing it. If I was trying to teach him to roll over, there he followed it. But if we work too long with them ignoring the food in our hand, then it makes it harder for them to get other tricks where we do need them to follow the food. So by putting it in the lid, it kind of makes a step there so that they're leaving it in the lid and not leaving it in your hand, if that makes sense. But you're going to start moving that food closer and closer to the floor until you get it to where it is on the floor. And most dogs, you're not going to be working up on a table like this. I've done this simply for the demo. But you want them to leave it when it's all the way onto the floor. But again, you can't make that leap too fast. You need to work them down there slowly. So at first it might be down here just below their head, and then down near their elbows, and then down near their knees, so that they get several steps and several positive and correct repetitions at each level before it actually gets to the floor. And so even though it's here on the table, it's still in my hand, and I'm waiting for some eye contact, which he gave me there. And again, I'm progressing through these steps very quickly. And so the next step, once you get it on the floor in the hand or in the lid, then you're going to get some duration. But then you're going to leave the food on the floor and just be ready to cover it with your hand if needed, or your foot if it's actually on the floor instead of the table. So he can actually get this food, and the way that he's going to get the food is to look away from it and give me eye contact. And each time you progress to a harder level, you don't want to add the cue until you can predict the behavior is going to happen right away. Because otherwise you're cueing stare at the food when you say leave it, and that's not what we want. We want to make sure that the cue happens right before the behavior that we're looking for. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. So then you're going to start moving the dog away from the food. So I'm going to move him over here just a little bit. And the food is right here in front of him, loose on the table. I'm going to say leave it. And I'm going to reward him by moving him away from the food. So I'm just introducing a little bit of movement past the food here. Be ready to cover it with your foot or your hand if the dog goes for it. So you're still clicking eye contact, but once you get the eye contact, you're going to reward them off to the side so that they have to take a step in order to get that reward. It's amazing that once the dogs start moving, they think that everything's available again. It's almost like the feet were planted and they knew they couldn't get it, but once those feet start moving, then they start thinking that food's available again. So we're just taking a single step or two in order to get them moving and realizing that they can move in the presence of food on the floor and not dive on it. Get nice long eye contact there. And again, you're going to build the duration of the eye contact slowly. He's still an opportunist. He's still trying for it. Good. So now what you're going to do is have the dog move past it. Wait. And normally this is on leash and you're walking by. So I'm going to see if I can get him to do this. Here. Leave it. Yes. Good. Leave it. Good boy. Leave it. Okay. Leave it. And once he moves past, I'm waiting for eye contact. We need the movement and eye contact. Leave it. Good. That's good. Leave it. That's good. And again, you're going to practice these in multiple different locations. And this is something that leave it as something you practice for the rest of the dog's life. Because there's always going to be something that's tempting to the dog that they really, really want. And you can use those things as practice for the leave it cue. Just remember that at first, you're not going to cue the behavior. You're going to just wait it out and see if the dog will offer you eye contact as a means of getting it. Just prevent them from getting the item and wait for eye contact. And then once they're offering you the eye contact, leave it. Yes. Then you can give them the food.